and welcome to another day of the DQ Labs conversations. And today we are going to do a, a, a conversation with Kiran Sawhney from Imperial Overseas Education. And she's going to be talking about studying abroad. Now, we're doing this because a lot of our students have asked us about studying abroad and how they can get it done and what are the processes, when do they start, and all of these questions that everyone has on their minds. So we decided to reach out to Kiran, and Kiran heads. She's the director of Imperial Overseas Education, and she also can help us get into or consider all these institutes, including NAFA and RMIT and Miami International University. I mean, these are the top schools you can see globally. So, how do you get into this? What is the process? Where do you start? When do you start? How do you go about it? All those questions are going to be answered today. Um, I hope all of you all have an account on DQ Edge, that is edge.dqlabs.in. What you need to do is click on edge.dqlabs.in/colleges, and you can explore all of these colleges in detail over here. Okay, this is what will pop up. And then what you can do is you can click on the details of any of these schools. And let me show you uh, my screen here. Let me show it to you live. All right. Um, right. So you can click on, say, any of these schools, NAFA, for example, click on NAFA, and you can read up about this school, find out whatever information you want. Little basic information is here. And if you want like more information about this, all you need to do is click on Enquire here. All right. Now, when you click on Enquire here, your contact information will reach out, will go to Kiran Sawhney, and you can, so let me click on yes. So an email would go to Kiran Sawhney and you could reach out to her, and she would also um, connect with you as well. Now, before I go hand it over to Kiran, um, right, what I need you to do is, I need you to, now that we are on YouTube Live, I need you to subscribe to the DQ Labs YouTube channel. I need you to click on the like button and also share this webinar with your friends who you think could benefit from this. All right. And stay in tune with us for a lot more conversations. Next week, we have Karan Malhotra coming here, who's going to be talking about creative automation. This is on the 4th of October, Sunday, the 4th of October, at the DQ Labs Industry E-Meet. All right. You could pre-register here, um, bit.ly/n underscore industry underscore e hyphen meet. All right. So I'm going to stop my screen share here and hand it over to Kiran. Thank you so much, Kiran, for taking the time out to come here.
Thank you so much, Dion. It's a pleasure to be associated with you with DQ Labs, and I am so impressed by the work that you're doing, and especially the quality of your students. So I have been associated with you for maybe a year now,
Yeah.
and I have helped a few of your students already, and I'm pretty well aware of how good they are and what quality of work they have produced. So it's a pleasure for me to be associated with you and to be of any help to you and your students who want to pursue their education overseas.
Thank you. Thank you. That'll be great. All right.
Yes.
So over to you. You can share your
All
screen.
right. Perfect. Yes. Yeah. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay, great. Perfect. So thank you so much to all the students who have joined us. I will just give a brief introduction about myself, as Dion has already said a few words. My name is Kiran Sani. I am based in Mumbai. I'm an education counselor for the past 8 years now. And basically I'm a certified education counselor, and we have an educational consultancy by the name of Imperial Overseas Education. So we send students abroad for multiple all categories of courses across all streams. But I have been very closely associated with art and design as it just happened initially when I joined Imperial. And So I have a very good idea about art and design education overseas. So today, what I have compiled as an information guide is quite basic, to be honest, because everything, it depends on the profile of the student, your ambitions, where you want to go. And a lot of things come into the picture when you're deciding about studying abroad. So today's presentation it will cover the basics, and it will cover, I hope that it gives you some information about, your ambitions to pursue your career abroad and your education abroad. So, as I said, why do you want to study abroad? Let's start with that, the most basic question. A lot of students and parents, when we meet for the first time, this is something that we discuss, that studying abroad is one of the things that you do because you want a better quality of education, right? Because you have an opportunity of studying from the best universities abroad, the opportunity to get exposure, the opportunity to mingle with people from different backgrounds, different cultures, the opportunity to have the latest infrastructure, the facilities for research, for development, for those who are interested in this, the opportunities of working part-time, the opportunities of interning in companies there, the opportunities of working in your dream companies, because of course we know that there is a lot of innovation, there's a lot of research and a lot of design element which goes on in countries, in the more developed countries like US, UK, Australia, Canada. And of course, on a personal front, it's great if you study abroad because it makes you extremely independent and confident about yourselves. And when you think about your careers, of course, if you have a degree from a good university abroad, you have great prospects when it comes to your incomes, your salaries. So that's of course a big monetary benefit. But other than that as well, there are multiple benefits, as you can see. So when we talk about education abroad, what are the kind of opportunities, what are the kind of courses available? So I have very broadly defined these categories here. So for students who want to go for an undergrad education abroad within art and design stream, you have an option to do a foundation course, or you can get into a direct bachelor's degree, or you can do a diploma course after grade 12. Similarly, for masters, as you can see, masters, you have the option of doing, postgrad, you have the option of doing a master's or a postgraduate diploma. So I have listed down a few courses like fine arts, design, architecture, science, Bachelor of Science sometimes, and diploma courses. Similarly, there are many master's courses available, like MA, Master of Fine Arts, Masters by Research is also a course available, postgraduate diploma courses, Masters of Architecture. There are also sometimes MBA courses available, like MBA in fashion, MBA, executive MBA courses available. So it all depends on what you are seeking for and what you really want out of this course. So my suggestion to students always is that go by the course curriculum and do not go by what the course says. Like, is it a Bachelor of Fine Arts or is it a Bachelor of Design? It really doesn't matter, because what really matters is what you're studying within that course. So the course that you take should have the subjects that you really want to study, and it should be able to give you the kind of education that you expect. And that's about it. Like, when you go for your employment after you finish your course, it really doesn't matter what your degree says. Is it a Bachelor's of Fine Art? Is it Bachelor of Science? Is it a Bachelor of Design? It doesn't matter as long as you're really proficient in that field, in that stream. That is what really an employer looks at. Okay, and I would definitely suggest to anyone who's going abroad, who's planning to go abroad, that please work part time or look at internships, look at getting some hands on work experience while you're there. Because even if you decide to come back to India, it doesn't really, it's always not, it's always not the fact that you've just studied abroad. It's fine if you have studied from some of the top universities, great. But uh, employers are always looking at also what is your work experience like, what kind of projects did you work on, what kind of internships did you take, what kind of part-time work were you able to do, did you do any freelancing within your stream, so this is all I'm talking about, within your stream. So the more work experience you gain, um, which is related to your field of study, the more better, the better it will be for you when you're looking for a full-time job later on, be it abroad or be it in India, right? So these are some of the courses. As I've listed the courses here, there are courses in fine arts, illustration, graphic, photography, fashion, interior architecture, etc. Many courses available. Honestly speaking, the kind of flexibility and the kind of options that you have when you study abroad, it's difficult to find them in India, because Indian art and design education is limited. Although many private and good universities are coming up, but it's still limited when you compare them to the opportunities that you see abroad. If like you, even if you want to do a bachelor's with a majors in something and a minors in something, you want to, you want to do an interdisciplinary kind of a study, it is possible. So Indian courses are, generally Indian education is quite rigid. And that's, one of the differences. When you study abroad, it's so flexible that you can actually take up really whatever you want, and you can study whatever you want. So that's really something that, is one of the benefits that I see for students who pursue their art and design education abroad. I think, yeah, so we have at Imperial sent many students abroad for, like, I would say that I've probably come across students from all sorts of backgrounds, which are mentioned here. So we will take you through some of our admits so far. So these are some of the popular countries. Of course, everyone knows the popular countries that attract the maximum Indian students. I think we missed out Canada here, but Canada is also very popular. So generally, the eligibility requirements for an art and design student. So generally, they do not require an SAT exam. So if you're looking for admission in US or Canada, uh, for an engineering degree or for a business degree or any other degree, you may have to take an SAT. But because you are taking an education in an art and design background, you generally don't require it. If you have it and you have scored well, then it definitely will go in your favor. But other than that, what you need is an English proficiency exam. So you need to take an IELTS or a TOEFL. Uh, Basically, the point is that this is actually a mandatory exam for any Indian student. Reason being that our mother tongue is not English. So our mother tongue could be Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, or it could be any other regional language. But so that's why we have to prove our proficiency in English by taking one of these exams. The only exception to these exams is an IB student. So if a student is taking an international curriculum, he is exempted from taking this exam. Other than that, your portfolio is the most important, admission criteria for any art or design student. The stronger your portfolio, the better, the better admission you can look at for yourself. I'm pretty sure that at DQ Labs, all the teachers and professors work really hard to make sure that you have a really strong portfolio. So nothing comes above a strong portfolio. So please focus on building a really strong portfolio. Generally, Some universities have a specific requirement of a portfolio, and some universities do not have any specific requirements. So when we are applying abroad, we really have to plan in advance. So it makes a lot of sense to have an understanding of where you want to go and have an understanding of what are the requirements when it comes to portfolio, so that you can create it accordingly. So in general, if I had to give you some general guidelines of a portfolio of what a university abroad looks at, is that they look at about 15 to 20 pieces of your finest work. You can show a mix of 2D, 3D, depending on the course that you're going for. It's not always necessary that if you're going for, say, a bachelor's in graphic design, that your entire portfolio has to be about graphic design. It could be, you could have some drawings, some sketches. It doesn't really matter. What they're looking at is your natural ability to learn art and design and your natural skill. So, of course, it has to be as genuine as possible. And the more variety of work you show, the better it will be. Apart from portfolio, your academic background is really important. Where you're studying, what board are you studying in, and what were your grades like, sometimes does matter. Your experience or your achievements in the field of art and design, or even otherwise, if you are great at sports, or if you are academically really bright, everything that you have done so far goes. You should never not show it in on your resume. So please do mention any achievements or experience. Your statement of purpose as to why you want to pursue this course, what do you want to achieve from pursuing this course, is very important, and why that particular university, why that country. So we, help students, kind of understand what and how to go about a statement of purpose. And letters of recommendations are usually taken by your teachers. So for art and design students, you could definitely look at one letter of recommendation from your art teacher, and you can take the others from like one or two more from your school teachers. So let me start off with US. I would also say that US and Canada are pretty similar. So consider US and Canada education system to be on the same lines. Okay. So they have generally two intakes. One is fall and one is spring. So fall intake is usually in the month of August, and spring intake is usually in the month of January. So always consider starting, I mean, fall is the most popular intake because that's when maximum universities have, their courses beginning in. Spring intake is much smaller, much lesser availability of courses. So generally, students look at fall intake because it just has more options for you. Please understand that for even if for students who are currently in grade 12 or IBDP 2, you are looking at applying now so that you can get admission for next fall. So your application process, it needs to start at least 10 months in advance. A lot of universities have a priority deadline in the month of November, December, but of course your admissions can go on until April, May. But most of the top league universities, they do require you to start early and to submit your applications early. So stay back options, generally US has a system in particular about STEM versus non-STEM. So STEM is basically science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. A lot of courses from Bachelor's of Design, especially industrial design, product design, sometimes does come under STEM. So if you are doing a STEM course, you're always at an advantage in the US because you get a 3 years of stay back. Whereas if you're doing a non-STEM course, it will fetch you a 1 year of stay back option. Similarly, for Canada, your stay back option after your bachelor's course will be 3 years, and master's course will also be 3 years. Okay. So in Canada, there's no such differentiation between STEM versus non-STEM. In US, there is. Expenses will vary definitely from US and Canada. Both are such big countries. Expenses depend on if you're going to a big town like New York or Chicago or Miami or Boston, LA, or if you're going to smaller towns, so definitely your expenses will vary, especially in living expenses. By living expenses, I mean your accommodation, your rent, your day-to-day expenses, your meals, your travel. So those are categorized as living expenses. They can range from 6 lakhs to 10 lakhs actually. And your tuition fee again depends from, varies from university to university. Generally, we would categorize it as between 15 to 20 lakhs. Education in UK. So UK is a very, very popular country when it comes to, art and design education for Indian students. Mainly because UK, Indian education is on, the UK pattern and UK line of education. So generally their courses are for 3 years. So their bachelor's courses are for 3 years. For some of the universities, they do have a foundation course, a foundation year leading to the bachelor's degree, but not all of them. So if your portfolio is really strong and you have a really strong intention of getting into a particular bachelor's degree, you can easily get into straight away the first year of bachelor's. Okay. And most generally, for UK, the most popular intake is the September intake, which is generally what students go for. For the Jan intake, there are very few universities that offer bachelor's courses. So Jan intake is not bad for masters, for postgraduate students. For undergrad, you are strictly looking at the September intake. So make sure that you apply early, make sure that your applications are sent to universities by December, right? Um, in all these countries that I have spoken about, US, Canada, UK, you are allowed to work part-time. So a lot of your day-to-day expenses, your living expenses can be managed if you start working part-time. Okay. So as I mentioned, one of the key reasons why students prefer going to the UK is because of the 3-year undergraduate course and the 1-year master's course. And now the UK visa rules are in favor of Indian students. So whichever course you do, whether a bachelor's or a master's, you will get a 2 years of stay back. So by 2 years of stay back, I mean that you can stay back in that country for at least 2 more years and you can look at working there. What happens after these 2 years is that if you have a job and your employer wants to retain you, then he will file for an extension of your visa, right? So he will file for an extended work permit for you, and then you can continue working in the UK, right? And expenses again varies from university to university and city to city, but anywhere between because art and design university courses are a bit expensive. So I would say that generally in the range of 15 to 18 lakhs per year. And your average living cost, because UK is expensive, would be somewhere close to 10 lakhs a year. So these are some of the good universities in the UK that we have sent students to, and they have excellent courses in art and design. They have almost every course at both bachelor's and master's level. So especially like University for the Creative Arts, Arts University, Bournemouth, Falmouth University, these three universities are purely art and design schools. De Montfort University and Middlesex University, London Met, they have other courses as well, but their design schools are really good. So education in Germany, now what happens in a country like Germany is that language is always a barrier. So if you're going to a non-English speaking country, so traditionally Indian students are more comfortable in going to English speaking countries because obviously adjustment is easier. You don't have the burden of learning a new language. There are no transition problems. You just go there, you start interacting with people, you feel more at home. But when you're going to Europe, say in France, in Netherlands, in Germany, you do have, like a slight barrier. Of course, in every country, people do speak English, but then you will have the signboards in different languages. You will you will be expected to start learning their language. And even if you're looking for part-time jobs, you're looking for full-time jobs later on, it is expected from you that you must learn the local language. So this is one of the things that you need to keep in mind in case you're planning to go to Europe. So again, in Europe, October intake is the most famous intake. Maximum universities, maximum courses available. The application process starts in January and ends in June. So please make sure that by Jan, you're ready with everything. You're ready with your portfolio. You're ready with your documents to get into a good university in Germany. They also sometimes do have an intake in April, but that's not something that a lot of art and designs students look for. So you get a 1.5 years of post-study work visa in Germany. So you are allowed to stay back in the country and work for a minimum of 1.5 years. And as I said, if you do have a job in hand and you wish to stay back and your employer wishes to retain you, then you can easily extend your work permit and continue staying there. All right, so Germany is a very unique country because specifically Germany we are speaking about, because Germany has two types of institutions. One is public and one is private. So public universities are totally free of cost. They have only a few thousand rupees as service fee every semester. So your entire education could be done within 1 lakh to 4 lakhs a year. And so basically it's a huge benefit if you can get into a public university. However, at a bachelor's level, getting into a public university in Germany is very, very difficult because they look at German's language skills, and you also have lesser options when it comes to English taught courses. Whereas for masters, there are many, many more options, right? So at a private university, you are looking at spending about 15 to 18 lakhs per year, and your living expenses would be somewhere close to 6 to 10 lakhs a year. I mean, depending on which city you go to. Singapore. So Singapore is a very, very famous destination because of the proximity. Like it has, been one of the most favorites for many Indian students and parents. Uh, because Singapore is close to India, it's just hardly a commute of 4 hours or 5 hours, and it's known to be one of the safest countries for any student to go and study in, and very high quality. So when you think of Singapore, you know that you will not go wrong, right? So one of the institutes that we send students to is called NAFA, Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts, one of the most prestigious art and design institutes in the world, not just in Singapore. So a lot of students, even from DQ labs, choose to study at NAFA. And so I am a partner with NAFA for many years now, and I send students from the whole country to NAFA. So it's a very I would say that it's a very value for money university because the tuition fee is low. The tuition fee is somewhere around 9 lakh per year, and the living expenses in Singapore is about 8 to 10 lakhs a year. So you can get a very high quality undergraduate course from NAFA, and they have courses in all fields, like right from animation to arts management to fashion design, interior design, graphics, everything that you can look for, right? Moving on to Australia. Now, Australia, of course, is a destination which a lot of students prefer these days because they give an opportunity for students to stay back and probably also get a permanent residency. So for students who are looking at this option, I would say that Australia is really, really good because it's easy to get into. It's not very difficult. And they do have two intakes. So for students who are not able to make into the July intake, they can get into the Feb intake. And unlike other countries, the July and Feb intake in Australia are pretty much similar. Like there is no difference. It's not like you have lesser options available or any of that problem doesn't exist. So that way it is really a good option. For a bachelor's course, again, Indian education system is completely recognized there, and it's very similar to the education pattern that Australia follows. So again, a Bachelor of Design or a Bachelor of Media or a Bachelor of Fine Arts course is a 3-year course, and a master's course is a 2-year course, right? So you can get a stay back option anywhere from 2 years to 4 years, depending on the city that you're studying in. So if you're studying from Melbourne, you get a stay back option of 2 years. If you're studying in a smaller town, say Adelaide or Townsville or Perth or Canberra, so you get a longer stay back option because the country wants, the government of that country recognizes that maximum students prefer coming to Melbourne, Sydney, but they want students to come to other parts of the country as well. So to incentivize students to come to other parts of the country, they are, giving you a longer stay back option. However, even if with a 2-year stay back, if you have a job in hand after 2 years, you are easily, you have an option of staying back, and you can apply for your permanent residency after 4 or 5 years of being in Australia. It's also not very expensive. Your bachelor's degree would be 13 to 15 lakhs a year. Similar is your master's expenses, and your average living cost would be about 7 to 8 lakhs per year. New Zealand is not very famous when it comes to design, but actually it is a hub for, like, not many people know this, but it's got some amazing institutes for art and design. And again, similar to Australia, it is really famous among students from India who are looking at permanent residency. So if you have a long-term plan, and it's not like you are really, not getting good quality of education. Your quality of education is really good. You are not compromising on anything in real. You can get into some really good schools, like I have mentioned in my slide, that you can get into media design school. Then there is also Victoria University of Wellington, which is very, very strong in art and design. That is also one of the university that you can look at because they have an excellent school of design. They, similar to Australia, they have both July and Feb intake, so very easy to stay back. However, there is a slight difference when it comes to New Zealand. New Zealand also offers diploma and postgraduate diploma courses. So if you think that you're not sure of doing a master's or a bachelor's, or if you are more conscious about how much you're spending, then a diploma option works really well because a diploma is a bit more cost effective, right? So this is an option that you have. And even with a diploma degree, you still get to stay back in the country and work, right? So this is some of the differences between the postgraduate diploma and master's. So master's is usually 2 years, and postgraduate diploma is usually a year. And bachelor's degree will be, a master's and a bachelor's degree is usually more expensive. So these are some of the good schools abroad. I had already mentioned UK in my previous slide. In the US, we have like really good schools, Full Sail University, Miami International University. In Germany, there are some universities. Singapore, as I mentioned, NAFA is obviously there. Australia has RMIT, which is one of the top institutes for art and design. There are many other universities as well. These are just some of the universities that are listed here. Even if you're looking at any other school in Australia or New Zealand, I will definitely be more than keen to help you out. Okay, so what's the process? So now, if you have thought of studying abroad, what does the process look like? Because of course, as somebody who's studying, making a portfolio, busy with so many things going on together, it does sound very intimidating, the whole process, and very tedious. However, it's not that difficult. So the crux and the key to making the process easy for you is if you start early. So always decide early. Don't start your sending your applications in the month of Feb or March. That after my board exams or after I'm done with my final exam, then I will think what to do. because that's a big, a big mistake. Why? Because by that time, most students have already sent their applications. So all the all the applications have already been assessed, the offers have been made, the scholarships have been already assigned to those students. So scholarships I haven't covered, I can speak about it now. So for students who are looking at great scholarships, scholarships are given mainly on two categories. One is on first come first served basis. So the earlier you apply, the more your chances are of getting a scholarship. Okay, don't even expect scholarships if you're applying late. If you're like the last people to apply, there is very little chance that you can get a scholarship. Secondly, the scholarship is usually based on merit. So merit means in your case, a lot will depend on your portfolio. Usually in other cases, it's usually the marks, it's usually the overall profile of the student. But especially for art and design students, a lot depends on your portfolio, right? So for you, if you're looking at good scholarships, and scholarships are available, it's not like there are no universities that give scholarships. I have sent students at scholarships which is like more than 50% waiver of their fee. So if a course was for 10 lakhs, they got a offer to study at only 4.5 lakhs or 5 lakhs per year. So there are options available. The scholarships are given by universities, but you just have to be smart to apply early, right? So keep your portfolios ready on time, and don't think too much, at the time of application, because send your applications, get your offers, get your scholarships, then make a decision about, like which particular university you want to go for in case you're, applying to multiple universities. So the process of applying is that, you first have to take your entrance exams, and you need to shortlist your university, your country, your course. So this is one of the basic step, the probably the foundation step of studying abroad. Like the first thing we do is we understand and become clear as to where we want to go, what do we want to study. Okay, these are the two universities that I want to target. These are my top preferences. So understanding this, and making sure that you have taken the IELTS or the TOEFL exam, whatever is required, that is very important. Second is to prepare your documents. So as I had mentioned previously, by documents in your case also is a portfolio. So your portfolio, your resume, your statement of purpose, letters of recommendations, keep all these things ready in time. Then you start with your application process. A lot of times scholarship, for the application for scholarship, they need essays. So if you're required to submit a scholarship essay as to why do you think the university should select you for a scholarship and stuff like that. So we need to be prepared with all these things in time. And like what we do at Imperial is that we do help you with everything, like right from the first step to the last. So once you are done with your application process, then understanding the financial requirements and preparing your documents, the financial documents, is a very important step, which we usually do with the parents, because obviously parents have a better understanding of the finances and they're the ones who are sponsoring you. So financial document preparation is something that we do very closely in contact with the parents. And then when you receive your admits, you finalize your university, and then you go for your visa process. So we help you with the entire visa process, right from the form filling, if the country that you're going for has a date, like for example, if the country that you're going for, like UK or US, if there is an interview process in Germany. So we do help you with the entire process of not just the form filling, but also helping you prepare for the visa interview. And last but not the least, we help you get in contact with students who are already studying these courses there. And then we help you with the process of networking with the students who are already existing, studying there, or maybe graduated. So about Imperial, we have 5 branches in Mumbai and Pune. So we don't have a physical presence in Bangalore. However, that really doesn't matter because we are always available. And I honestly have catered to students from every nook and corner of India, probably. So it doesn't really matter that we are not existing, I mean, in terms of the office space that we don't have there, because what really matters is that we guide you over calls, over phones, over emails, so everything can be processed and can be done very, very smoothly. So we have a team of 50 plus counselors, and most of us have studied abroad, and we also have counselors who have done a PhD abroad. And a lot of our students get scholarships every year. Like honestly, I have so many students who get scholarships right from $2,000 to $20,000 a year. So it really is possible, and it is something that can easily be achieved. When we think about studying abroad, we don't think that it can be possible for you to really get into some of the top universities or get scholarships, but it is possible. And we have, as I said, sent more than 15,000 students abroad, and some of the top universities as well, as you can see. So, as Dion mentioned earlier, please go to edge.dqlabs.in. That has some of the courses mentioned, some of the universities mentioned, and where you can apply. And you can just, as he mentioned, just put in your inquiry form there. We get the details from that, and we get in touch with you. And for your reference, this is my contact number. The first point of contact could be me. And I've also mentioned one of my team members' contact point in case my phone is not reachable or I'm traveling or any other issue. Right. So thank you so much. That was from my side. And I would love to know if there are any questions or any comments, or if Dion, you have any questions, I'd love to take them up.
Yeah, I think that there's fantastic interaction here because there's quite a few questions that have come in. Uh, I
Okay.
will I will take these on one by one,
Sure.
but before I do that, I just wanted to um, share my screen. All right, and
Yeah.
let me do that. Um, yeah, because one of the key things you mentioned is portfolio preparation, right?
Yes.
And how important that is. Now,
Yeah.
for the students who are preparing for schools abroad as well as India, Umesh has last week done last week has done a presentation on portfolio preparation specifically because that is so important as reiterated by Kiran just now.
Yes.
So please go to our YouTube channel and watch this. All right. So that's number one. And for the others, there are a lot of other um, webinars as well. There's USEED and Seed 2021, creating your strategy. There's things on design and fashion school application. So there's a lot uh, of things to of relevance to look for out there. All right, so now I'm going to stop my screen share, or rather I'm sorry about that. And also next week, next Monday same time, we are doing a webinar on interview tips and preparation. um, and Kiran, do they have interviews for students in this when they do these study abroad programs?
Sometimes, not always, but sometimes they do. The faculty sometimes does want to interact with the student. Generally, what they are looking at is how clear are you with your ideas and thoughts about studying that program. So, whether you've thought through it, whether you really want to do it, and are you aware about what you'll be learning within that program, and what do you want to do after this? Like, what is your bigger picture? Is generally what they ask for.
All right, all right. So, for those of y'all who would like to prepare for this, so I think as far as Indian schools go, there's a lot of focus on interview for the private schools in India, not so much for NIDs and NFTs, but for whatever it's worth, I think as many students should attend this next week. Please register here on this particular link, which I've shared in the chat box. Right. Now, coming down to the questions, Kiran, there's
Yeah,
tremendous questions here. So I'm going to start off. So some of these questions you've covered already. So Arti Baraji was asking about postgraduate degree programs in animation.
yeah.
Um, where can you do that? So I'm guessing, I mean, obviously in the school options that you've given, um, I'm sure animation would be there. So Arti, really what you probably need to do is identify which of the countries or continents you want to go to, and then um, do it. So say a person like Arti, all right,
Yeah.
who doesn't know or who's not very sure. She knows she wants to do animation, but
Yeah.
where to do it, she's not sure. So how would you advise her to go about her search?
So the first thing I generally ask student is, what is your plan? So do you want to choose a country where, your education length is the shortest, or are you looking at a, particular budget, or are you looking at a particular destination? Maybe she has some relative somewhere, or she has a preference for some country, or you're looking for a country where you want to settle. Generally, students who are going for masters courses are also looking at, an option to settle abroad. So, or at least work for a few years. So it all depends on such factors. So I would, for animation, I would strongly recommend her to look at, as we have already spoken about, the media design school in New Zealand. It's amazing. It has some of the good courses in animation, and also in UK. So UK also has a 1 year master's course, and a lot of good options are available within the universities that are mentioned in edge dot DQ labs.
All right, fantastic. Right. I think that's a good way to go about it. And now the next one is now there are some questions about specific schools. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure how you would answer this. So there's one question
Hmm.
about. Let me just mention the schools in one go so that we cover a lot
Okay.
more questions. So one is Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. All
Yeah.
right. The other one is RCA London,
Hmm.
Central St. Martin's London.
Yeah.
All right. And Singapore Technology University of Design. So there's
Yes.
specific questions on these four schools.
Right. So these, Dion, are some of the top universities that these students have mentioned.
Mhm.
So needless to say, your the biggest thing that they look at is your portfolio. Like, your portfolio has to be really outstanding to get into these universities. Your statement of purpose has to be really, really very, it has to be very well thought about, and it has to be framed in a manner to impress the universities, and it has to, of course, articulate your thoughts about why you want to get there. It's not just about rankings, right? You must have preferred that, I mean, you shouldn't just be saying that because it's a top university I want to go there. No, they don't want to know that, because they know it already. So what they want to know is, why would you be why would you how would you add any value to their university? So there are many aspects to getting into a top university. Of course, it's much harder. So what my advice to these students would always be that, at least, apply to 2 or 3 universities. Don't just apply to one, and keep backups. So in case it doesn't materialize, or you are getting an offer which you really don't like, if you have applied for a particular program but you've been given an offer for another, or anything like that happens, you must always apply to more than one university.
All right, that's cool. Um, right, so I hope that answers those questions. All right. Um, so Arushi Kakar has been asking about the statement of purpose. Siddhi Tiwari has a similar question. Let me come down to Siddhi's question because she's specific about um, when it's applying to colleges in the US, they say this, they call it the statement of purpose, and when
Yes.
she applied to colleges in the UK, they called it personal statements. Is that the
Yeah.
same or it's different?
It's exactly the same. I mean, it can be called by different things, like different terminologies. Like, for example, in Germany, the same thing is called letter of motivation. So, however, the essays remain the same. So, generally, a statement of purpose or a personal essay or a letter of motivation, they basically are looking at getting to know your story, getting to know about you as a individual, your thoughts, why you want to do this course, what have you done so far, what have your achievements been, why you want to do this course, and what do you want to achieve from this course, what is the bigger picture in your life. So this is generally what they're looking at. Sometimes universities have a specific requirement that they want an essay to be within 700 words or within 500 words or just one page, whatever it is, so as I said, what they want to get out of it is the same. They can use different words for it, but to make sure that you have your essay ready and everything, you just need to start early. So as I have said that before.
All right, all right. So yeah, so now going down to the other question. So Arushi has asked about the cost,
Yeah.
which we have covered. Um, right. Tarun is asking, or Kriti is asking about the scholarships.
Yeah.
How easy is it to get scholarships in these schools?
Again, as I mentioned, it is possible. I wouldn't really say that it's easy, because it's scholarship is something that a university is giving to attract good students and to help you, right? To financially help you and aid you. But if your portfolio is really good and your personal essay or statement of purpose, whatever it is really speaking about why you want to be there and why the university should be proud to have you. And if you have some achievements, like you have been sent to the UN by your school, or if you have some really strong extracurricular activities or a really strong profile, then why would they not want to give you a scholarship? And because every university also is looking at really strong students, so if you really have that merit within yourself, your application, your portfolio, then it is totally possible to get scholarships.
All right, cool. There's a question from Tharuni who's
Yeah.
asking about the foundation program. How long does that last? Is it like a 6 month, 1 year kind of a thing, or is it like a summer program, like a short duration? What is this foundation program?
So a foundation program is usually a 1 year program. So like somebody mentioned about the Central Saint Martin. So generally, a lot of these top universities, if they find you to not be, or there are actually students who prefer going to the foundation program because they are not very sure about what they want, what particular field they want to get into. So generally, it is a 1 year program wherein you are, um, given a basic knowledge about art and design, like different fields, and if your portfolio is also sometimes, a little short of what their expectation was, they generally give you a foundation program.
All right, cool. Now, Ashwin is asking, now, if you take a part-time job, how much does one earn per year? Because we discussed that it could cover or subsidize the cost of living there. So generally,
Yes.
about how much does that come?
So, honestly speaking, I would say that most of the times it covers almost your entire living expenses. So, if you're working part time in US or in the UK or in Australia, I would say that it would cover at least 50% to 80% of your cost, if not more. I know of my students, generally not at the bachelor's level, because at a bachelor's level, you're much younger. So it takes time for you to really adjust and just understand how to go about with the how to go about with making your resume and sending out for jobs and applying online and all those things. um, so it might take a while for undergraduate students to get part-time jobs. But for a master student, it is very easy because by that time, they are mature enough to understand how to go about the whole process. And it's all about networking. Like honestly, when you're studying abroad, it's all about networking. So whichever university you're going for, or whichever country you're going to, please make sure that before you go there, you have already built a network. Like today's age, with all this digital mediums that are available to us, there are like groups available on Facebook, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, of students who are joining that particular university for that particular program. It is that easy now. So before you go there, just make sure that you are networking and you already have contacts. So if you are in contact with a few seniors from that school who are already in their second year or third year or something like that, you can take a lot of advice. You can just ask a lot of questions and build contacts with such people who can help you out. So a lot of times seniors refer their juniors for jobs and stuff like that. So it is possible. It just depends on how much effort you're putting into it. And a lot of times it depends on luck. A lot of times it depends on the availability at that time. In the US, for example, it is mandatory for you to work only on campus in the first year. So there are certain rules, like depending on which country you're going to. But if you do have a job in hand, a part-time job, it really does subsidize your living cost.
All right, that's cool. Um, Now, a few questions by Aditi Sunavni. I think these have been answered a little earlier. So, Aditi, just you asked which is the best country and university that offers the best courses in Masters of Management and Fashion. So, I think we answered this earlier in terms of you need to identify which. Probably you can go online, identify some. Kiran, do you think there are any resources for her to search, like which is the best university and the best?
I mean, honestly, a course like fashion management or brand management, or fashion communication, and so many courses, they are available. I think I would say everywhere. So what she needs to really think about is, as I said, what she wants to do after the course as well, and what is she like looking at spending, how much money, all those things really do matter. And what is the duration of the course that she wants? If she doesn't want to do a 2-year duration course, then it doesn't make sense for her to consider Australia. Similarly, if she doesn't want to do a diploma, then she can omit a few other options. So, but fashion management is easily available in a lot of good universities in the UK. And definitely consider, like, I wouldn't say that, Australia is the hub of fashion. So consider, like, for if you're going for game design or animation, yes, some of these universities are really good in Australia, New Zealand. But when it comes to fashion, I would not recommend her to go to Australia or New Zealand. I would much rather suggest her to look at Italy or UK, or US, because they have more chances of her to get employment afterwards. So that would be my recommendation.
Fantastic. All right. Now, googly artist. There's no name here. It's just written googly artist, but uh, googly artist is a American citizen. All right. So,
Okay. Hmm.
being an American citizen, what advantages would they have either in the US or say in other countries?
In the US, you have a lot of advantage because your cost of education is lower for you, and there's no visa formality for you. So huge advantage if you are already an American citizen. Also, if you're an American citizen, getting a visa for any other country becomes very, very easy. So it's hugely advantageous. But I would say if you are an American citizen, then you should study in the US, because you have nothing to worry about when it comes to jobs, because it's much more difficult for an Indian citizen to get work permit and to get the job visas in other countries. So if you're already an American passport holder, it makes sense for you to study in the US and work there without any visa issues.
All right, that's cool. Um, right. So Soham Sengupta is asking, by when should their portfolios be ready? Should it be ready in advance before they apply, or how does that work? I mean, so if they're applying, say by December,
Yeah.
then when should the portfolio be ready? Before that or
Yes.
in December?
So their portfolio should be ready at the time of application. Like you cannot send an application without your portfolio, because for an art and design student, there is no assessment done without a portfolio. It's not like you can receive a conditional offer or any of those things. It is not possible. So your portfolio should be ready before you start your application process.
All right. Um, just one second. So there's a question from Sanjana Mahev. Can you
Yeah.
explain what happens after we reach out to Imperial, all right,
Hmm.
for an undergrad architecture school abroad,
Yeah.
um, with regard to the current pandemic situation? So I mean, so I'm assuming if I break up that question, so one is what is your process, all right, and at Imperial, and the
Yeah.
second thing is would they have classes online, or how's it going to work now?
Yes, so that's a great question actually, because I haven't covered the pandemic at all, the situation abroad, because uh, so I just in a very concise way I'll tell you what's happening abroad. So right now, most universities, most countries are offering their degrees online. Okay, some countries are offering it in a hybrid manner. By hybrid, I mean that out of 4 units, like 4 subjects in a semester, 3 units at least are online, but 1 unit which is specifically to art and design students, because there is a lot of workshop and lab work involved. So wherever there's a physical presence involved, they will call you on campus, but for other things you can start studying online. So this is what is happening right now across the globe, and I don't think that it should hamper your plans, because the universities are doing their best to support students. They are issuing offers, the students are going for studies. In fact, students are even flying to UK or US as we speak. So there are some countries, even Europe actually. So there are countries within Europe, UK, US, that are already accepting students to come there and study. So, depending on which country you're going for, it is possible to start studying online if probably one of your semester starts online or something like that. I don't see any harm, because I would just say for specifically for undergrad students that because your course is a minimum of 3 to 4 years, it doesn't really matter if you're spending 2 or 3 months studying online. So don't delay your admission process, and especially if you've got into a really good school, don't let it go. Would be my advice. And the second question, sorry, Dion, was.
Right. Um, so the process that Imperial would follow.
Yes. So the process that we follow is that we have, honestly, we have a tie-up with more than 150 universities across the globe. So if you're applying to any of these universities, we don't have a counseling fee. However, if you're looking at universities like, as someone mentioned, Fashion Institute of Technology or Parsons or Pratt, such institutes that really don't have a tie-up, that we nobody actually has a tie-up with, then we do charge a counseling fee, and we can inform the student about that
All right.
on a one-to-one basis.
Sure, sure. That I guess depends on each university. Um,
Correct.
right. So Sanath and a few others have asked specifically about design schools, which we've covered specific schools which we've covered earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip those questions. Meghna P is asking a good question here. She's going to be answering her board exams in March 2021. So if she
Okay.
applies in December 2020,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen about her board scores? What would they do?
So generally, what these universities abroad they do is they give you an admission on the basis of your 10th and 11th standard marks, and a lot of schools now give a predicted grade. So if your school is giving you some predicted grades, then universities don't mind giving you an offer on the basis of that. And specifically for art and design students, as I've mentioned earlier, your portfolio is the main decider. That's something that universities like base 90% of their decision on. So as long as your portfolio is really strong and your like predicted grades and your actual grades are not extremely mismatched, then it should really not be a problem. You can easily start your education next year.
All right. Um, right. So yes. So Aditi is asking, what kind of jobs do you get after doing a master's in fashion management in USA? I think it depends on the opportunities what Kiran spoke about the resources that you use, your skill in networking and trying to get that job for yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so is it easy to get a job? Again, she's covered that earlier, um, on how easy it would be. So I'm going to skip a few questions. Okay, so Kevin Kumar is asking, is it that only a few schools do not need SATs or none of them require it?
So for art and design, I would say that none of the schools really require SAT. So you can easily not take it.
All right, all right. Um,
I mean, unless he's going for a course like industrial design, which has a little bit of element of engineering in it. Then it may be required. So my suggestion to him always will be that, so if you have shortlisted your 5 universities, just go to the university website. They will easily mention whether they need an SAT or not. So don't leave things on assumption. And this is what we do at Imperial. Like if we are shortlisting universities for you, we will tell you whatever is required and what kind of portfolio and stuff like that would be required. So there are no surprises later on. So just do a little bit of research would be my suggestion.
okay. So right. So the next few questions are all related to which is a good program for universal design for masters outside of the USA, or product designing similar. So all these questions have been addressed a little while ago. So for those of y'all who have joined in a little late, or for those of y'all who've missed some part of this, after this webinar, the recording is going to be available on the DQ Labs YouTube channel. So please refresh this your link after this website webinar is over, and then you'll get the recording. You can watch it again. All right. And in case you are not able to watch it or you need more information, you could always reach out to Kiran. Her number is has been shared earlier, and I could type it out as well. Kiran, if you could probably WhatsApp it
Yes.
to me, I'll or type it in the
Sure.
chat. I'll just send it again. And yeah, and if you would like to apply, go to the link edge.dqlabs.in/colleges. You can click on the links of all these colleges that we spoke about. You can get some idea. Click on inquire. You'll reach Kiran directly, and or rather you'll an inquiry will go to her and she will get your contact details, so she or her team would contact you back.
Yes. I would also say, Dion, one of the things that I realized while we are talking, and there are so many amazing questions from your students. I would also say that this is a very, very short list of the university names, because as I've mentioned, we have over 150 universities that we are partnered with. I don't know if we really can have all the 150 universities named in the edge.dqlabs.in, but for students who are looking at any other school as well, like apart from these, I mean, these are some of the top schools. So I highly recommend them. But if you're looking at other options, please do get in touch with us. As Dion mentioned, just fill up the inquiry form. I will definitely have an idea as to what you're talking about. And it's always better to have it on a one-to-one basis.
All right. And we've reached the final question from Sunila Rajendra, um, who's asking about studying in South Korea. All right,
Hmm.
especially for masters in architecture. Is that something that's really worth considering?
South Korea, I have worked with one university in South Korea, but that was only purely for business. Everything is worth considering. I wouldn't say that any country is good or bad, as long as you really feel that it is what you want to do. South Korea is, of course, known for like great quality and some amazing companies over there, some really good facilities, infrastructure, and everything. So if you think that that you really are getting what you're looking for in a university there, then why not? However, please consider the fact that when you're going to such a country, you need to learn their language, and so you need to speak their local language. You need to learn it. Otherwise, it's very hard to integrate into their society. So, and of course, South Korea is not a popular destination for Indians. So, it's not going to be so easy for, like, if you go to the US, if you go to the UK, if you go to Australia, if you go to New Zealand, Canada, there are hundreds of students, Indian students, that you would see on campus. So, it's very easy for you to adjust there. There are Indian restaurants. It's easy to get Indian food, easy to get Indian all these things that you're used to. So my suggestion to you will be also consider those things other than just the syllabus, because it should not be so hard for you to transition there that you're really struggling. So as long as you have thought through every aspect, it's totally fine if you want to go and study in South Korea.
All right, all right, cool. So Amruta has asked a question: do you need to know German to study in Germany? Yes, the answer is yes. All right. I mean, it's
For
preferable you get.
public universities, yes. For private universities, no.
Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. So I think that's the end of all the questions here. And
All right.
if I can share my screen, um, just 1 second. Right. So I'm gonna just share my screen here. Okay. So for those of you who are keen on any of these colleges, y'all can come here. You'll have to log in to get some information. So just log in here, put in your contact information. You can just log in through Google, and you can get through all these, get information, of course, of all the um, schools in India, as well as the schools that um, Kiran spoke about today. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Kiran. It's been a pleasure having you out here. Um, we're gonna be ending the session. All right.
Thank you so much, Dion. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye. And the rest of y'all, if please like this video, like this webinar, and subscribe to the DQ Labs YouTube channel to be informed about more webinars in future, and to reach out to us, do follow us. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
Dion.
Bye.